Happy Memorial Day weekend, and it is a beautiful Saturday afternoon in sunny Tampa. And I'm inside with the AC and the fan. You may hear the fan running. And yep, I got my nifty shirt on, Mick Cthulhu's, with the McDonald emblem back there, or icon. And at the bottom of the shirt, kind of hard to see, it says over 2 billion devoured. I forgot where I bought this shirt. I forgot when. I forgot how much it had cost. I just had to have it. And if you remember if you watch episode 1, now that episode 2 will pick up from there. In episode 1, I talked about the horror books that I got. And one of the horror books that I've got, I took the dust jacket off just to make it easier. I've had this book for years. Is The Vampire Cinema, one of my all-time favorites. And here's the actual book. And what I loved about this book, I read this on Saturday afternoon, was really into it. The open that it's such a great shot of Christopher Lee, white over red. And I remember looking through this book, and it has the most amazing pictures in it. Um, of course, you have Vlad the Impaler, who was the inspiration for Stoker's Dracula, and wonderful, wonderful pictures. Right through here, this Bram Castle in Transylvania, that, according to the legend, was Stoker's inspiration for Castle Dracula. And this book was a wealth of information. Here you have Varney the Vampire. And I remember checking out that book in middle school and really being into it. And today I have a copy. It's a big, huge, thick 800-page book, but I still like it. The Sunglass! But it doesn't bother me, and it shouldn't bother you. So anyway, getting back through this book, this was my favorite chapter. There was something intriguing about our vampire fellow over here with the menacing eyes. I remember reading this chapter on Nosferatu. And there he is again. And I remember reading that Stoker's wife thought Nosferatu was too close to her husband's book, so she sued, ordered all prints of the film destroyed, but somehow someone smuggled away a copy. And spoilers for Nosferatu, the vampire dies at the end. And you can really see the influence of German Expressionism, and how it influenced those Universal monster movies that I grew up watching on Creature. And anyway, around this time, I saved up some money by mowing yards, and one of the first things I bought was a videotape. My first videotape from Film Classics Nosferatu. I thought the film was not able to be seen anywhere. It's a silent movie from 1922. It is so old that the label has since fallen off. The label has fallen off there. There's just a little sticker. But inside, the original sticker for Film Classics Nosferatu. And so I didn't have a VCR at the time, so the only way to really watch this was I had to make friends. So I made some friends in my neighborhood who had VCRs. And I would watch a scene here, and I'd watch a scene there, and then most kids weren't interested in black and white silent film from 1922, but I was mesmerized by it. Ooh. I thought it was great. Finally, I got left alone with just a TV and a VCR and a dog in the room, and watched the whole thing from beginning to end, and I thought it was great. And I've heard in the 70s there was a remake of it, and also in the 70s there was this movie about the making of Nosferatu that I need to seek out. I've since upgraded to DVD, and of course I'm sure it's on Blu-ray. But that was my first that was my first ever video cassette. And moving along, the next cassette, back in the days of Musicland, folks, was a store at the mall. I remember back in the day when they were selling 8-tracks and vinyl, and the 8-tracks were phased out. I remember walking to the store, they're like, here's a small little 8-track section in the corner, we're getting rid of it because cassettes are coming and CDs are coming. We have to make way for the new garbage. I prefer vinyl. But anyway, I was at Musicland, and my second video that I ever bought was Star Trek: The Nick of Time. And in many ways, it reminded me of The Thing. I really like John Carpenter's remake of The Thing. And in this one, you know, Kirk, Spock, the typical landing party beams down to the planet. They find this outpost with all these scientists that were dead and died in horrible ways, and they bring back the alien disease aboard the Enterprise, and people start acting cuckoo. And I was really into those episodes, and you can see it's really old, but it still has the stickers kind of browning there, browning on the back. And the weird thing about my copy is there's a hole right there for some reason. I have no idea how that stupid hole got there. And the third movie I ever bought on back in the videotape days, and by this time we had a VCR. It was one of those old-fashioned ones that you hit the eject button and it went boom, and you put the tape in and had to push it down with all of your might. And I don't know if it had a remote, but you had to hit the big play button to watch anything. And so the third videotape that I ever bought was Night of the Living Dead. The box has simply since been destroyed. All I have is this wonderful JVC edition. JVC box that I just put the movie in. The labels have all disappeared. But this is Romero's Night of the Living Dead, and of course I've upgraded since then. But, you know, me and my friends were kind of disappointed in Night of the Living Dead. We're like, oh, it's going to be this gory, fun movie. And we were getting confused with Romero's Dawn of the Dead. But this is the one that started it, and in a way I'm glad I started with this one. It was my first Romero movie. I didn't really see Romero in the theater, not too much later when Land of the Dead came out, but Night of the Living Dead was special to me. I mean, Dawn of the Dead's my favorite, but Night of the Living Dead has, the one that started it all. It was kind of transition, the way Psycho was a transition, that the modern horror film, you could be scary with a low budget, you didn't need the money of a major studio to back you. You could be an indies guy, which I always liked. Now, the fourth videotape I bought was not horror related at all, but my friend Chris Rice, I know you're listening, that I went to high school with, said that from 3 blocks away he would be riding his bike and hear laughter, loud laughter from me, from the Three Stooges Good Time video. Simply hilarious. You get 4 shorts: Disorder in the Court, The Brideless Groom, Malice in the Palace, and Sing a Song of Sixpence. We watched them over and over again over countless Pizza Hut pizzas, usually Supreme. But, you know, and to the point that as soon as the episode starts, or if I see it in reruns on TV, I can already recite the dialogue before the actors say it. I've since upgraded the Three Stooges to DVD. They, incidentally, prologue, Walmart has the Three Stooges complete for $49. You get every short. I've just got like volume 1 of the DVDs that came out. And so I believe this is it. This is going to wrap up for me episode 2. But that's not all. Barnes & Noble's had an online sale, and of course I got a discount on Crystal Lake Memories, the complete history of the Friday the 13th films, and I'll go this more in depth here. But it's got wonderful colored pictures. It's got, as I was saying, wonderful colored pictures. And it's just a great book for Friday fans. Big, heavy, humongous book. There's a DVD, but the English lit nerd in me suggests that you read the book first before you watch the 878 1900 whatever it is documentary Crystal Lake Memories, which is really good. Or you could be backwards. It's up to you. I'm just trying to teach people to be more literate. And I remember there in 1980, my sister went on a date, incidentally, with the guy who gave me the horror books. And when she came back, she was truly frightened. So I made fun of her the whole weekend. Years later, in the magical days of Cinemax, HBO, and the movie channel, Friday the 13th came in, and my sister ordered pizza. It's a big family party. We decided we were going to watch this Friday the 13th. My dad and I were on the couch together. When the ending of the film came, my sister was very quiet about what happened in the ending. She was like, pay attention to the ending. It gives away a key plot point. Pay attention. Look close at the screen. Wonderful, slow, classical music. Jason comes flying out of the water as some mutated weirdo kid grabs the girl in the boat, throws her down into the water, and then my dad and I jumped high off the couch. And so it was payback. I mean, I probably shouldn't have made fun of my sister way back when, but it was good payback. Back in the days when horror movies were still good. Not saying that they're bad today, but I'm almost certain, not entirely, but certain, that horror movies probably aren't made for my age group anymore. People in their 40s or people in their 30s. They're just they're aiming horror movies at the youth market, which they've pretty much always done, and it takes a little more than just a jump scare to get to me. I need a hardcore psychological Silence of the Lambs type thriller to keep me awake at night. So this is the wrap up for episode 2. Future episodes, I'm going to go into the magazines I subscribe to. In order were Famous Monsters, Fangoria, and Gore Zone. I'm going to go through all the vintage horror books I got in the 70s. You've already seen 2, A Pictorial History of Horror Movies, Dennis Gifford, and The Vampire Cinema, both British film critics. And then I'm going to include my videotapes, like some of the first videotapes that I got. When we bought our VCR, we got it at a yard sale from a neighbor, that old-fashioned VCR, and he gave us a box of movies. And one Saturday afternoon, I had nothing better to do, so I was rummaging through the box of movies, and one that really grabbed me was The Gates of Hell, Lucio Fulci, what they're calling today City of the Living Dead. But I remember in elementary school, people were telling me there's this weird Italian horror movie with this woman and all of her intestines come out of her mouth, and I'm like, alright. I could never get the title right. But in the box was The Gates of Hell, and I put it in, and that was my first exposure to Fulci and Italian horror. And then later I got into Argento and Mario Bava, but it was Fulci first. And I watched a lot of crazy movies that were in this box of movies that my family got. I'll go through that. I'll go through my horror in VHS, my horror on DVD, my horror Blu-rays, my horror record albums on vinyl, horror CDs, The Impact, Stephen King's The Mist, and 3D sound had on me. And I'm going to do something different besides just reviewing movies like every other smuck and horror wannabe on YouTube is doing. I'm also going to do horror fiction. I've got lots of horror fiction. Frankenstein, Dracula, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Dan Simmons, the guy whose name I can't remember right now, but he wrote a book comparable to Stephen King's The Stand, which was called Swan Song. Clive Barker's Books of Blood, and one of my favorites, H.P. Lovecraft, and my Stephen King novels. And that will all be coming up in future episodes. And with that, have a nice, safe, wonderful Memorial weekend, and have a great time. And just remember, come close to the screen. Blah! All right, bye.